everyone, this is Angela at Valley Girl Crafting, and I'm here to show you some of the cards that I have been working on. I have made a couple of non-Christmas cards and several Christmas cards. So I'm going to start with the non-Christmas. For those of you that saw my video on the quilling, you may have already seen these, but I'm going to go ahead and show them again anyway. These are on the brown cardstock paper, and what I did is I took a embossing sleeve and I embossed the front of the card, and then I took markers and I colored in each little section a little bit differently, and I quilled my flowers, and I quilled the dot for the eye, and I have just a cute little saying of hi on there. And I thought this would be cute for anything. Haven't gotten anything on the inside of it yet. Probably use this one as just a handwrite. But I thought that was really unique, and I really like the background of it. Now, I had showed this one, and then I had made this one on the tutorial for the quilling. So it's pretty much the same concept. It's a little bit different size, and it says thanks instead of hi. But it's still got the quilling and everything on there. So go through and check out my other videos I've posted, and you can see where I quilled this particular flower. The next thing I worked on was I have used some of the nested dies. And the first one I made was this really pretty card out of the circle dies. And each one of them, you just use the foam in between and just make it a little taller. The stamp I used on this one has got all sorts of circles and arrows and all different things. And I did some parts of it white, some of it turquoise to match my bow in the middle. And just stamped all over the paper before I cut it out. And used a couple of the blings here on two of the corners and in the center. And then the paper that I used on the background is very textured, and I really love the effect it gave. And if I hold it sideways, you can really see the texture of the paper. And actually, I purchased it that way, so it was a really neat find. And this one, I just did some markings on the inside with my die here, and thought that was really nice. On this next particular one, it says hi, and it's got the flower. It is also the nesting dies. Did some stamping on it, and then of course I've got the bling, the hello die. I did some stitching on it. I did some green on green stamping with the leaves in the four corners, just to kind of give a little bit of something different, but without taking away from the center of the card, which is the showcase. On the inside, I did a little panel and did a different flower on the inside. It's the same flower, it just looks a little different being flat. And left a little room for a handwritten note. The last non-Christmas one I did is also another nested. And this is of course, a stamp of a rose. And it is layered as well. I used my bow die to cut out this cute little bow and put the little pearl in the middle of it. And then the inside, I just stamped the rose again and left it blank for a handwritten note. These nested dies, they're a lot simpler to make than you would think. And I suggest you really try them. A really good tutorial you can watch on the nested dies is by Mimi with Love. And she actually did a tutorial on it not long ago, which is actually what inspired me to try it. So check out By Mimi with Love to see the tutorial on this card. All right, so the rest of the cards I made are all for Christmas. This one I worked on today, and The background of this one, I actually, the stripe, red and white stripe is actually paper, but the green and the red behind, I used a stencil and markers, or excuse me, ink, and I inked up my paper to make my own design. And then I used my dies for my tag and for the tabs. I've got a tab there, and I've got a tab actually down behind the bow. And I used my bow dies again here with my bling. And this card actually, this part lifts up. I have got a die of one of my snowflakes on the inside, along with the ribbon that says Believe. And I may stamp something in here, maybe a little cinnamon or something, or, you know, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do there yet. I haven't finished that far. And then the inside, of course, is blank. It's got a couple of snowflakes inside, white on white. And I've got some Christmas stamps that have some Christmas sayings and stuff on them. So, which is one of the ones I used on the front. But I've got some like verse stuff that I can use in here later on. The next card is a snowflake card. The paper is green and white striped, and then the bottom paper is just a strip of snowflake. I cut out my 3 snowflakes on there in kind of a pearl white and used just some extra dots from some of my other die cuts that I had used my dies on. This little piece of paper here and the little tree I've had for a while, finally was able to incorporate that in. And this is one of my nested dies, just one panel of it with the To Wish You a Merry Christmas, along with my tag. And like I said, I'll stamp a saying in the middle of the card. But that one was really nice. I enjoyed making that one. On a couple of my other videos, you've seen where I told you I had a piece of paper that had all sorts of different sayings about Christmas on it. And this card is pretty much all from one of those sheets. You can see a couple of the squares in the back have stuff all over them, and that is from the same piece of paper. I also cut the Christmas and the cheer out of it, along with the Santa Claus in the middle. And I just kind of raised him up a little bit. I raised the cheer and the Christmas just to kind of have them stand out a little bit. Used my bow die to make my bow and added some bling. And I've got just a strip of the red and white over here, kind of like a candy cane, just to have a little accent, since I've made my back of my card just a little bit bigger than the front, and that just lets it peek through. Next card I made, this is actually a top open card, and I used the white cardstock along with the maroon red, and then I used my nesting dies, laid them all flat, used my bow die again with my bling, and then I also used that same paper and cut out Merry and Bright. I also made a quilling card. This one is, I quilled a snowflake, and it looks pretty difficult, but actually it's pretty simple once you figure out how to make it. What takes the longest, of course, is rolling up all your paper into your little designs. And I've got some bling on it. This has actually got a layer here, and then this is a layer, and then your bling is a layer on top of everything else. But I really thought it made it pop with the black background. It's a very simple card, but very elegant. And of course, this came from the same paper again, Joy to the World. Like I said, it opens from the bottom. I have 2 more cards, and then I'm actually going to show you how I made the very last one. This is another quilling card that I quilled. It's got a poinsettia on it. And I have the bottom layer, which is all the white. Then I have the middle layer, which is the red, and it has some white just on the ends of it to tip it. And then you have the little section in the middle. So it's actually 3 layers. So it looks like it spent a lot of time on it. And then the same paper with the jingle bells. These are just some ideas that I came up with. You know, I'm hoping this will help to maybe give you some ideas as well. Next to the last card, this one says the stockings were hung by the chimney with care. And that is off that same piece of paper that I've cut everything else off of. I took one of my nested dies and I cut one piece out. I actually folded it in half. I used poinsettia leaves. The background is the leaf. This is the stem. I cut it in silver just to make it stand out a little bit. The little snowman is a little plastic piece I've had for quite a while. Finally incorporated that into something. I have another one of my tab dies that I used right here. And then I took my snowflake and just kind of put him peeking out from behind the nested die. And again, the front is cut just a little bit shorter than the back, so I have a piece of designer paper peeking out from the corner, which gives it a little bit of a different look. And then the last card I made, I'm actually going to kind of show you how I made it. The last card I made is this card right here. It says Joy. And I really like it. It looks like a farmhouse type card, like a country farmhouse. And it's very simple to make. I started off trying to make a video of this, but I got almost done with the card and realized that the video had shut off. So I'm just going to kind of pick up where I left off and just explain to you what I used and how I got to where I am so far. Started off with a card base. It is 5 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then I took my nested die set in a rectangle, and I took the biggest one, and I just cut like a little window pane out of it. Now, the part that was left, I used and cut out another square, and I used the next one down, the smaller one, and I cut it out of the piece that came out of the middle, and we're going to use that as well. The next thing I did is, if you'll notice, I have the little banner that says Joy, and these are from one of my newer dies that I bought, which I'm totally thrilled with. Each one of them, it's A to Z, plus you have a exclamation point and a question mark, and then you have your plain banner down here that you could layer on top of, and I just think they're adorable. When you cut them out, of course, I used the green as the background and the red as the front, so I just cut those out and then I put them together, and you come up with just the little banner pieces. And I've got the J and the O and the Y over here. Then I took a piece of this glitter inkjet cardstock, which was gifted to me by my sister-in-law, by Mimi with Love. And it is beautiful. It comes in the gold and the silver. Today I'm using the silver. And I took that and I cut out a medium bow with my bow dies. And if you don't have these, guys, I'm going to tell you what, this is an awesome die to have. You make three different sizes of bows in it, and my sister-in-law Melissa had it, and I've used hers and finally broke down and purchased my own, and I have wore this thing out. Very simple. Got two pieces, of whichever size, and it's very simple to put together. So if you've never used it before, I'm going to show you how to do that. Before we get on, I just kind of want to show you where I was when the video stopped. So I've gotten this far, and the next thing I did is the inside panel, which is this piece right here. And I really didn't measure it too much. I just kind of cut it a little bit smaller than the 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. Just so when I tuck it up in here and glue it behind here, it's not going to show. So what I did was I took my scoreboard, get it up here, and on the long side, I scored every 1/4 inch. So We'll just score every 1/4 of an inch, and that just gives us these really nice straight lines. It's a very clean look, and it's a nice way, I think, to incorporate it into a card to give you a little bit of movement and just something different. I mean, you don't have that plain flat background, but you're not having to worry about stacking things on top of each other. So you end up with just a white piece of cardstock that has lines in it. So I'm just going to take my glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the back, and I'm going to glue this down right in the middle, because this top piece on this frame, I'm going to do glue all around it. It's going to be what really holds this in. So get the glue in on that. Then we're just going to make sure that's glued down really nice and tight all the way around. All right. Check for any little places that are not glued down really good. And then I actually told you wrong, and I'm not sure what I did with my other pieces now. Anyways, I had a piece, another smaller piece on the inside of this, but we'll go without it this time because I'm not sure what I did with it. So we're going to go ahead and glue the frame that we cut out from the piece that we took out here. And we're just going to try to center it the best we can. And then once you think you got it down, just press that glue down in there. And remember, we put those lines in it, so there's going to be some unevenness in there, so you may really have to get it down on there really good. Okay, so then after we have that, I had my bling. Now I'm not sure what I did with it. Let me hunt for it here. Well, moved things around since the video didn't work correctly, and now I'm not sure what I did with it. Oh, there it is. Go over here. Okay. All right, so I have this bling that was gifted to me by my sister-in-law, by Mimi with Love, and she's got some really, really nice things in here that she gave me. What I used, though, was this really pretty tricolored bling, and it's got all different colors, which to me looks like Christmas lights. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the whole rest of what's left here, and I want to start it in this corner, and I want it to come over to this corner with a little bit of a swag to it. So put that right in the corner, and we'll bring it down, and I'll have to use part of another strand because it's not quite enough to go all the way across. So these things are good and sticky. All right, so we'll get that coming down. I think I'm just going to have to let that one be casualty because it turned under a minute ago and it's just not wanting to lay right. And then the piece I don't use, I'm going to put back on the plastic. So once you get it on there, you may have to move a couple of them around a little bit just to make it have a little bit of a swag to it. And then I took the teeny tiny little diamond looking ones and I brought them from this strand up here. So I kind of just laid, trying to get this where you can see a little bit, just kind of laid this out so I could see how far in between I needed them to get them to lay right. And then I just did 2 of the shorter strands on the J and the Y and a longer one on the O, so it hung down just a little further. And guys, these things are sticky, so it may take a little bit to get them on there just right. But I just bring it from the very bottom. And I came down 4 on the Y and the J. And I came in 4 from the end as well, just to try to keep it symmetrical. And then I came down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the O. Tried to come right in the center. And then you go back on and you glue your word joy onto your page. And the paper I used for the joy, it's a very thin paper. So I have to be really careful with it and make sure I don't bend it or tear it. But I really liked it because, I mean, it looks delicate, but it really is too. So, but I really like the look of it. It just kind of softened everything up. I just put a little bit of glue and I try to tuck it right under that last bling. And if your bling doesn't want to stick too well, then you can always add a little glue under it. Just make sure it dries clear. All right, so once you have your joy on there, you come back in with your bow. And it comes in 2 pieces. So you have your tail and you have your part that makes the bow. I just take something and just roll it around it, kind of get a little crease in it. And then once you get it to where it rolls a little bit, you just add a little glue to that center piece. And then you just fold your sides in on each side. And hold it. In the back, you add a couple of dots of glue. And then you add that right in the middle. And again, you hold it. And then most of the time you would take it up and around, but since there's only the glitter part on the front, I'm going to take it from the back around. So the glitter's still on the top of the bow. And then you'll probably need to hold it for just a couple of minutes. That way everything is nice and glued before you let go. I take my stylist or pen, something that's kind of close to the same size. And you just put it in there and kind of bend your bow around a little bit because it does smush down when you're gluing it. So there's your little bow. And then we'll put just a little glue on the back of this one. Like I said, those bows are the cat's meow. So we'll put the bow right in the middle. Because I have made more bows in the last couple of weeks than I have in the last 40 years. All right, guys. Well, I hate my video kind of closed off in the middle of it, but this part here, just mount it onto the base of another card, which is what I did here for you to have your open and close. This is just the front of it. So you'll do the 5.5 or 5 1/4 by 4 1/4 for your base. Like I said, it's just a simple little card. Not hard to make at all. And I hope this inspires you guys to get the creative juices going. And I will be waiting to watch all your all's videos. So before we wrap up, if you don't care, please hit the like button. And if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, thank you guys for watching. And I will see you later. Thank you.